Hey there, Hallmark Hot Takers, and welcome to another episode of Hallmark Hot Takes, where we are reviewing all 23 countdown to Christmas movies from the Hallmark Channel, and tonight, and rating them. According
let's rate them too.
We're gonna rate them. Didn't we already say that?
We're gonna review and rate them.
Yes. What Jason said.
Yes.
Each of us gets 5 candy canes.
That sounds like a plan.
Okay. So tonight we are going to review.
We're going back to Evergreen.
For the 4th time. So this is Christmas in Evergreen, bells are ringing. This is the 4th Christmas in Evergreen installment from the Hallmark Channel. So we will be reviewing this movie, and it stars Holly Robinson Peete, hanging with Mr. Cooper fame, Colin Lawrence, Rukia Bernard, Antonio Cayone, Ashley Williams, and Barbara Neven. So stay tuned for a recap. Okay, it's recap time. So, as we said, this is the 4th installment of Christmas in Evergreen. So, by way of backstory, Evergreen is this town in Vermont.
Sure.
Very Christmassy. Lots of Christmassy things happen there. Christmas miracles, all sorts of things. So, this story actually focuses on Hannah and her boyfriend, Elliot, who got together at the end of the last Christmas in Evergreen movie. And Hannah is helping her sister Michelle plan her wedding, which is taking place 2 days before Christmas. But Hannah is feeling a little bit lost in the town, like she doesn't really know her place. And Michelle, who is the mayor of the town, says, hey, I could really use some help opening up the Evergreen Christmas Museum. Why don't you go ahead and spearhead that? You have a week, go for it. So Hannah, never one to say no to anybody, says, sure, I'll do it. And meanwhile, we find out that Elliot, who is the proprietor of the Turner Tinker Shop, has decided he would like to spread his wings and springs it on Hannah halfway, in the movie, that he's going to open
the Turner
shop in Boston.
Yeah.
It's going to be his flagship shop. He wants to move to Boston because he just wants to see the world. And this kind of throws Hannah for a loop. So she's like, well, maybe we clearly want different things because my life's an Evergreen, and if you need to spread your wings, we got to break up. So they break up. And meanwhile, at this museum, the space for which was donated by 2 quirky twin sisters that used to be an old hat factory, they've donated the space to the town. Meanwhile, their brother, Jeb Cooper, comes in and says, I didn't sign off on this. You're not getting it.
Nope.
And so Hannah is trying to convince him that he should donate it, blah, 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 blah. They finally convince him after he says no, but then he changes his mind, and they open up the Christmas shop. Michelle doesn't get married because
They open the Christmas shop?
Or the Christmas...
The museum.
The museum. The Christmas museum.
It does have a gift shop.
Michelle doesn't get married because her fiance gets stuck somewhere.
Right.
So that actually wedding never happens.
Nope.
But then Elliot decides at the end of the movie that Hannah is where he wants to be. So wherever she is, he wants to stay. He doesn't need to spread his wings.
Nope.
They get back together. They kiss. And that is Christmas in Evergreen. Bells are ringing.
That was the quickest review.
It was.
Let's get...
that's the quickest recap.
Let's get to a review.
Are you wondering how well we're going to rate this movie? It's going to be amazing.
No telling.
It's amazing.
All right, I will go with my review first out of my candy canes.
4th installment.
4th installment.
Jay, tell me what this movie did to you.
So it's the 4th time we've gone to Evergreen. So this is 4 years in a row.
The first time was with Ashley Williams.
Yeah, and I think it's progressively gone downhill since the beginning. So the problem with 4 movies is that none of them were very memorable. So like when they do have these cues to the other movies, it takes a while to remember that that's a thing or that's a character. So I did not particularly care for that. Like, this isn't like Star Wars. I'm like, yeah, I remember that character. That's a memorable
You're not that
character.
iconic, Evergreen.
I know the snow globe, etc. So it was hard for me to follow along there. Awful kid acting once again. Like, both kids in this. The one was like really sad that her father wasn't going to make it from France, but like she was like kind of laugh smiling while saying it. Like could not act her way out of a bag. Didn't like that. The whole time, the whole thing about Evergreen is this globe that you can wish on. And it takes a snow globe you can wish on. And then it takes like forever, like hour and a half into the movie. They're like, oh, I'll wish on this globe. Like, wish on it earlier.
The movie would have been
so
shorter.
Stupid. So there's this thing about the museum, the Cooper's museum.
It used to be a hat museum.
It used to be a hat museum or a hat factory.
Hat factory, yeah.
And she's like, she's gonna play to his feeling side. So she makes
she's trying to get him to come around and sign off on it.
So she makes this display, and it's like a circle of hats that are just strung them out.
With the picture
randomly.
of his ancestors in the middle of it.
Right. And it just looks like trash.
No effort.
Like, stop it. This looks like it was a trash hat.
But it was good because he actually was pretty pissed about it.
Right. At some point, there was an indoor snowball fight. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you can't have a snowball fight inside.
It was at Henry's barn.
It was still inside. Like,
I'm just saying it was a barn.
When, like, people were, like, doing crafts. Like, it was messed up. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So that was all my negatives.
Did you have any positives?
The positive I had here was product placement. You know I love product placement. So like Nestle, the
there
chocolate
was a cookie
chips.
making scene.
So there's a cookie making scene. Very like here they are in your face, and then believe it or not, the commercial at the break. The chips. So it was great.
That we fast forwarded through.
I love that. What's her name?
Holly Robinson Peete.
Holly Robinson Peete for all those 90s, kids out there. Hang out with Mr. Cooper. And then the guy's name was Cooper. So, like, there was a connection to hanging with Mr. Cooper in that.
I feel like that wasn't...
That was definitely...
I feel like that wasn't intentional.
Absolutely was that
Not
intentional.
at all intentional.
And for some reason, I love the creepy twins. Like, those twins, there's these sisters.
They're old. They're really old. So, like, they're identical twins.
Yeah.
And they're Mr. Cooper's sisters.
Yeah.
And they're something else.
It's like the twins from The Simpsons. Those two are so weird.
Yes.
Like, they
or
definitely...
like the twins from The Shining.
Right.
When they grow up.
They never got married and just lived together forever. So it was really weird. All in all, it was a half candy cane. This was the worst movie I've ever seen. Like, this was so...
The worst you've ever seen, or the worst Hallmark movie you've ever seen?
So bad. There's a bit of torture if I had to watch it again. Like, that's my rating. I would love to hear what you have to say.
Okay. I'm going to start with my likes. So, I loved Jeb. I actually didn't want him to turn over the property at the end because I just liked him. The reason he didn't... He was the last proprietor of the factory, and it closed on his watch. So he always felt that he let the town down, and that is why he just felt very. And when she did this display, he's like, "You're mocking me."
Right.
And I thought his story was actually really cool, and I would have been like, "Screw you, can't have my building." I thought them actually breaking up in the middle of the movie was a little bit interesting. I mean, you knew they were going to get back together, but it was just a little different. You don't usually have that. Yeah. Henry's Barn is always a treat. I love Henry's Barn. Sonia is Michelle's sister, and I actually kind of liked her. She just kind of had a little bit of like... She had an edge, and she was all kind of like, this town, like, just is Christmas, 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 and she kind of just had a little bit of a, like, I don't know. She was just a little bit funny. Yeah. No, and I thought Jeb getting pissed about the display was amazing. I loved it because it totally backfired on Hannah, and I thought that was great.
Well, you know why? Because it was a trash display.
It was a trash display. Like, she spent all of 6 minutes on it.
Right. She just threw a bunch of ads.
So these are the things I didn't like. I have to say, I mean no disrespect to anybody who is in this movie, and I know y'all worked hard, but the acting was not great. And
I don't think they're going to watch this.
Really, anyone. I know they're not. But I don't want to make personal remarks, but the acting, I just got to say. The choir, they have this choir in this movie. Bad choir. They're not good. The pre-made snowballs for the spontaneous snowball fight, not buying it. They did this whole thing. So Michelle, whose fiance is stuck in a several weeks long snowstorm up. He is what's he do?
Logger. He's a logger.
So he's stuck up somewhere.
Maine.
And he can't get back. So they're having this video chat. And like the whole conversation is, oh, I know we don't get to see. Now, mind you, they're supposed to get married. Like they're supposed to have their wedding. Okay. And they're also calm out. They're like, oh, I know we can't see each other, but there's always next year, and there's worse things than not being together. And it was this whole nod to like COVID, and I was like, dude, I don't want to hear about COVID in a Hallmark movie, so keep your crap. There's only one teenager in Evergreen, and he's in every scene, and it's just really annoying. I kind of feel bad for the kid. I feel like he should find some friends. The Elliot, I mean, he had this dream, and then I get it, he gave it up to be with her and blah, 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 but it just didn't ring true.
He's going to resent her, I think.
This whole movie was like just about like Hannah worrying about what everyone in the town thought about her. And so, I don't know. It was just a weird movie. I didn't like it. I think that Hallmark should stop making Christmas and Evergreen movies forever.
Forever Green?
And I can't in good conscience rate this better than The Christmas House or the same as The Christmas House, because The Christmas House, even though I didn't like that movie, was a better movie than this.
Yeah. So what are you going with?
I'm really sorry to say that I have to give this a half a candy.
This is
amazing. It was
amazing.
a bad movie. It was not good.
So this gets a total of 1 candy cane.
So
this is the absolute lowest score you can get.
This is the lowest score you can get.
Because we've made the agreement.
Hallmark, stop making these movies.
Right, because we made the agreement that there's no 0 candy cane.
There's no
so
zero.
like
You get a candy cane just for showing up.
Well, no, you get a half a
Candy
for
cane
showing up.
for
Clearly.
showing up. Oh yeah.
So, all right.
It's okay. We can change the rules as we want.
I love it. All right, let's get to previews.
Good Lord.
Preview time.
Okay, so the next movie is called Christmas, She Wrote.
Murder, She Wrote.
Angela Lansbury is not in this movie.
This sucks.
So when writer Kaylee has her column canceled before Christmas, she goes home to reconnect with her family, but sparks fly when she gets an unexpected visit from the dude who canceled her. This is going to be a very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's starring Danica McKellar. Jay, otherwise known as Winnie Cooper, who Jason does not like.
No.
Because Winnie Cooper always done Kevin wrong.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Arnold did not.
I have a feeling that for Jay, this movie starts out with a negative candy cane, which isn't fair.
I'm going to say this. She's the anti-Lacey. Bizarro Lacey. For sure.
She's fine.
Just saying.
She done Kevin wrong,
right?
But
as much as I love Lacey,
it's
like as much as I love Lacey, I dislike her. So like, it's gonna be interesting, to say the least.
All because
of Kevin.
Arnold.
Kevin Arnold. It was
All
like
right.
30 years ago, but still.
Jason doesn't
strong.
hold a grudge.
Not at all.
All right. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.